Hello and welcome to the Financial Express. Jayant Chaudhary led the Rashtriya Lok Dal to an improved tally of 8 seats in the recently concluded UP Assembly elections from the previous performance of just 1 seat in 2017. However, this performance and the alliance with Samajwadi Party could not turn the tables against the BJP, which led to an easy victory for the saffron party in the state. Jayant, however, remains optimistic about his party's performance and has already started preparing for the 2024 Lok Sabha elections and the next UP elections. Today, he will take us through the journey of how his party performed in these elections, where it lagged, and how it is preparing for the next course of action. Hello and welcome to the show, Jayant ji. UP elections are over. What do you have to say about your party's performance? Do you take it as a boost, as a shot in the arm? Your party won 8 seats out of the 33 contested. How do you take this?
Well, my nature is that I take things a little lightly and don't take negativity to my heart. So I need to be optimistic. And I do believe leaders do need to inspire people to achieve more. So that is the principal task at hand, how I can motivate my workers to keep up the good fight. We've done well. We've gained a lot of credibility. We have shown a sustained campaign can help you win elections. We have एक तरह से हमने अपनी उपस्थिति दर्ज करी है वोटर्स के माइंड्स में कि they are serious about issues. We ran a very positive campaign. We were the first party to come up with our manifesto, very strong issue-led campaign. And overall the alliance did well. We were able to click well together. Me and Akhilesh ji were able to, in our tours, build up a certain energy and enthusiasm. Somewhere that is translated in a better performance, electoral performance, vote share has gone up. Last assembly we were decimated. This time we've gotten 8 seats. So that is enough to work with.
Where do you think the issue of farmers' distress or this narrative failed to build up against the BJP? Was it because of the withdrawal of the farm laws, or do you think where did this Jat Muslim vote bloc, which was perceived to be united this time and was supposed to be voting against the BJP, what happened?
There are players that work outside these narratives. Voters don't always vote along these sort of issues of caste combinations. This is only ex post we analyze things and we come up with these terms of Jat Muslim. In actuality, you need vote from every community, every broad section of society needs to support you. Otherwise, there is no way you can gain a majority. You can't even win 1 seat. So, and as for the farmer agitation, it definitely had resonance on the ground. Right. It was not a manufactured issue. And the fact that so many people came out in a 13-month-long agitation, they came on the streets, they expressed solidarity with the farmers in their own ways, that cannot be discounted. They must have voted along the same lines as well. BJP tackled it through many ways. One of the ways was, of course, the fact that they had withdrawn the bills. So seemingly the threat had been dispersed and dealt with. Then they told the farmers that now this issue is done. Now look at other issues of Uttar Pradesh. So their diversionary tactic also must have had some impact, and they were also able to convince other sections within the villages who don't have tremendous land holding and whose main occupation is perhaps not farming, but they are part of the rural identity. They were able to pit them against the farmers in some measure. I think that may also been part of their strategy and might have worked on the ground.
Do you think that there was a late start of the campaign from the Samajwadi Party's end, Akhilesh Yadav's end? And do you think that somewhere the Samajwadi Party failed to actually play the role of the main opposition party in the state in the last 5 years, if you take count of the entire 5 years?
See, election campaign is one aspect. Election campaign, technically you can say, when we start asking for votes. But before that, we are always on the ground. Whether it is to sustain your organization, to take a message to the bottom of the pyramid, there are constant programs we need to do, and we are doing that. I think Samajwadi Party was looking at their booth structures and they were organizing training camps. So perhaps those programs were not publicized. So it appeared a lot of the media has sort of come up with this explanation that Akhilesh came little late. Fact is, the Rath Yatra, the campaign for vote, pitch for votes might have come just before elections, but we were all trying our best. And we were coming from a position where BJP had a tremendous majority. So in that sense, we were gaining ground. Every day we were gaining ground. I think if we had had more time to explain our issues better, and that is somewhere where BJP has done a lot better than some of the regional parties in building up their cadre. You must understand that BJP, the entire machinery today is focused on just elections, not so much governance. They get sworn into power and from the next day they start thinking about the next milestone, which is another election. I don't think that should be the case. They must be brought to be made accountable for the positions that they are holding today. The Chief Minister should be focused on Uttar Pradesh rather than campaigning throughout the country for his party. Similarly, all the MLAs must be brought to account for their own constituencies, the local issues. I think that is the sort of voter awareness that we need to build.
So how is the Rashtriya Lok Dal preparing for the 2024 Lok Sabha elections? Is the alliance intact?
We had a national executive and we congratulated the alliance for a credible performance. And we also indicated that we need to show that we are committed to this direction. And so that resolution was passed again on 24th of this month. We are sitting again to talk about organization and the way forward. And I will move a resolution in the assembly, in the national executive, to authorize us and me to take a decision regarding future alliances. But it is clear that we are going to stay the course. Akhilesh ji tried his best. He has a positive persona, and I think we do need to work together in the future as well.
The Prime Minister said that after the UP elections, in his victory speech, he said that 2024, the 2022 UP elections have determined the fate of 2024 Lok Sabha elections. How do you take this?
It's part of the political pitch. Kya aayega to Modi hi. All of that, they constantly try and build up this narrative so that the floating vote can be captured. There are people who are perhaps right now they're not thinking about the election. So they want to create a space for BJP within those voters.
Right.
And that's not really the case. UP election was different election. Now at the national level, at the federal level, people are going to look at what their choices are and what the real issues are.
Before the elections, you were approached by the BJP. Do you think that had you aligned with the BJP, it could have paid you more dividends than?
No, I was not approached by the BJP before the elections. That was an election tactic. We had tied up with Samajwadi, it was pretty clear, and we had fought an election together previously, the Lok Sabha election, we were in alliance, and there was no reason for us to break that alliance. And so when the election was declared, when our alliance was declared, after that, I think that pitch was made by Shri Amit Shah ji and other BJP leaders also were part of that strategy. The idea was to tell our people who perhaps went to BJP in the last election and who are coming back to us that, you stay with us and they will also come with us. So I tried my best to sort of remove those doubts from people's minds. We have been successful in getting people from BJP to come back into the RLD fold. That is how we have gained vote share.
Right.
And also a lot of the new voters. In our meetings, in our programs, the sort of youth participation, across all regions was very, very encouraging. And I think the young voters, the first-time voters, liked our message.
There has been quite a buzz in the media over the past few weeks that your name is being considered by the Samajwadi Party for the Rajya Sabha. Any comments?
Elections are not declared yet. It's going to happen in June and July.
Yes.
Of course, that is an honor to be a part of that house. And then you get a platform to raise issues.
Right.
So that decision will be taken by us jointly.
How do you see Congress unabated downfall, which has come along with AAP's unprecedented rise?
I think there is a desire amongst voters to see a new alternative. And the traditional older parties in the opposition have failed to come together and create credible platforms. Us and Samajwadi and some other parties came together, and that was the real alternative. The election was polarized between us and BJP. But at the national level, I think more efforts need to be done so that like-minded people, parties, leaders do come together. And I think it is our failure that we've not given that alternative, therefore voters are now looking at new things. Aam Aadmi Party has momentum on their side. They have won 2 states, there is no doubting that. They have done some good work, but I think they need to, show commitment to the responsibility that has been given to them. Now, in Delhi, they have repeated government. In Punjab, people will see whether they are able to improve governance or not. For the Congress, I cannot really comment too much, but I think internally we all need to look at ourselves, how we can rebrand. The leadership question in Congress needs to be resolved at the earliest.
Right.
And what I find is that internally within Congress ranks, because I speak to a lot of leaders, there is a lot of confusion. So I think that their worker base needs to be motivated, and from the top till the bottom,
Right.
they need to give one message to the voters. That is not happening. I don't see the kind of activism also on the ground. There's so many issues, but those issues are not being taken to the people effectively. The fact is that in many states across India, Congress is still very relevant. They have the organization, and they are in some states even the principal opposition party, if not the party in power. So there is a big responsibility on their shoulders.
The entire political landscape has been divided over the Kashmir files so far, and adding to that was Arvind Kejriwal's remark, which created a lot of furor. Any comments on this?
See, it is a film. It is a film on a real issue, and no one can doubt the trauma that Kashmiri Pandits have gone through. And more serious efforts should have been made at a reconciliation over the past few decades. Even the principal party in power today, and you see the Prime Minister, making an appeal for people to go and watch the film. I wish that the same commitment should have been shown to get a reconciliation on the ground, so that people would have felt safe enough to go back. Those that want to go back should be able to go back. That has not happened. So therefore, it's not a real issue. It's really just a flimsy campaign in my mind. And Kejriwal ji in the house, he tried to, he used humor. In fact, I tweeted that it was a good speech. I think subsequently he was attacked. But he was actually talking about promotion of a film rather than any issue relating to Kashmiri Pandits.
One last question. Where do you think RLD as an alliance with the Samajwadi Party lagged in the elections? Where do you think there could have been chances of performing better than what you've come up with?
Typically, when you do an alliance, there are some issues that you need to iron out well in time. I think our discussion on seats should have been resolved a little earlier, and we should have perhaps given our candidates more time to campaign. That is one thing. And second, like I said, parties like us need to have a traditional structure at the ground level, at the grassroots level. We need to work internally on our organization. There was no problem with our issues. I think our campaign had a lot of vibrancy, and there is no issue with the face of Akhilesh ji as Chief Minister candidate. We gained a lot of traction. Another aspect is looking at different sections, whether our appeal was finding resonance with them
Right.
or connecting with them. Women voters, I think, is one area where, because our organization is weak, we need to build up our message to the women voters.
Right. Thank you so much for your time,
Thank you.
Jayant ji.
Thank you. Abhilaf.